If you're looking for a great show, all to support a great cause, I've got the perfect event for you coming up soon on November 25th. It's Broadsway, an evening in support of the Guelph Youth Music Center. And joining me is Heather Bambrick from the troupe. Thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
So this first question is either the easiest or hardest question you're going to get. Describe a Broadway show to me.
Just anarchy, entertainment anarchy. You know what? It started out as just sort of a one-time thing, and that was 13, 14 years ago. So it's a little bit of kind of musical theater, comedy, show tunes, standards, pop. I mean, all of the music that we do can be traced back to some connection with Broadway. But we're also three middle-aged broads and kind of like doing things our own way. So that's why the idea of doing a Broadway show where it's the music of the Great White Way, but with our own twist on it, a little bit of, sort of silliness and fun. And we don't take ourselves too seriously. We do take the music seriously. So that's about it. But overall, it's just fun.
As a man with an English degree and working in media, a great pun is great for me. And so Broadway is right up my alley. In terms of the humor involved, how did that concept of the act really develop?
Well, basically because the three of us just kind of we crack each other up, So Diane Leah is our music director. She was actually the one who first came up with the idea of doing the show. Julie Michaels and I have been friends and sang together for years, and then we all kind of more Julie and Diane, and then Julie and me. Diane and I hadn't worked together all that much at the time, up until the time that we started doing this. We did a little bit. The fun just happened very naturally because, I think the first show that we ever did, we started thinking about, let's do a medley. Like if we took a medley of songs about the moon, what would that be like? And then it became ridiculous. And quite frankly, a lot of our rehearsals involved around maybe a glass of Chardonnay or two. And that played a role, to be completely honest. But it was funny. Like the next day we'd think, okay, was it the Chardonnay that made it seem funny, or was it funny? And no, okay, no, it's funny. That's funny. So we just like to have a laugh with it too.
And I really love how you said, humor is part of it, but it's fun, but you take the music seriously. And that's how I was a musician here in Guelph for years, and I kind of felt like, yeah, that really resonates with me. In terms of music we'll hear at the show, what kind of songs are we expecting to hear?
Well, you're going to get some things from shows like Ain't Misbehavin'. You'll get some things from Rent, maybe. You might get some things from Wicked. But then you'll also get, sort of amalgamations of different shows, or maybe a tribute. Like one of the things we do this big Burt Bacharach, Hal David medley. Because of course they did shows like Promises, Promises. So the music might not specifically be from a certain show, but it will have a connection. So you're going to get some pop tunes that you recognize. You're going to get some show tunes that you recognize. There will be some silliness that you may or may not recognize. But I mean, for the most part, most of the material is pretty well recognizable. So, like I said, things like any number of tunes from the Bacharach songbook, things like "I Can't Give You Anything But Love" or "Easy to Love" or oh my goodness, "I Can't Get Started," or just tunes that I think a lot of people will know, and then maybe they won't. "Moon River" is another one, so they'll hear them and go, "Oh, I kind of know that." Oh yeah, I recognize that now. So I think a lot of people end up being in the audience thinking, well, I know this music, and then in the end going, oh, I knew all of it.
One thing I find really interesting about live performance right now is, especially since this is for the Guelph Youth Music Center, is kids aren't going out as much, and I don't think they appreciate live performance as much as they used to. I also I produce Guelph Storm Hockey here, and I feel like kids aren't going out to sports as much anymore. Why do you think it's important for people to have that live experience with the art or sports or theater or what have you?
Because it's spontaneous and it's happening in that moment, and that can never be replicated or duplicated. I mean, records are and television shows that we see and what that, and they're art in their own way, and they are to be respected for that. But when you go to see someone live, you don't know what you're going to see because anything colors that live performance, from the tone in the room, the audience, and what that gives back. I mean, for us, we are very audience driven. So the more enthusiastic and spontaneous and crazy and hyper an audience is, the more I like it. Because we feed off of that. And that really is what gives the tone of any particular performance. So what happens that day, from the mood that you started, how your day began, what was the drive like to the venue, how easy did the sound check go, how is that falafel sitting in your stomach? I mean, all of those things all play a part, So, uh, and the jokes that happen so spontaneously and whatnot. I mean, you're not going to get those any other way. And it's a chance to also see artists doing something where there's no studio trickery.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fix that in the edit later. It's got to be there. It's got to be delivered at the time. And hopefully you have more good moments than mistakes. But even the mistakes can be funny sometimes too. And that's the essence of seeing things and capturing things live in that moment. We're striving for a great show. We're not striving for studio perfection, because sometimes studio perfection can bring a certain sterility, and that's not what the show is all about. The show is about just goofiness and fun but really good music and great arrangements. And Diane Leah does such a good job delivering that. And that's the other thing, is not everything can be captured on record. So when you go to a live show, you're going to hear music that was never recorded before. Like a lot of the tunes some of them were recorded, some of them you can get on an album, but some of them were just ones that we started doing live. So again, it's that special element that you can't get unless you're going to that particular show.
For me personally, I think a lot of it has to do with the concept of play. You're playing with someone, and it's fun to interact. The crowd could be different one day. I know. If you're happy, if the crowd's happy, was it snowing? Was there traffic? It makes a huge difference to the whole experience.
Absolutely. And it can change like a day that's going poorly for either a performer or an audience member can be completely turned around depending on the experience you have in a particular show. And it all plays a part. And you're absolutely right, Ryan. The idea of play, is so huge, especially in a show like the Broadsway show. Like, we are definitely playing. There's no two ways about that. There's a certain amount of, rehearsal and polish and all that. But then there's that, let's open the floodgates and see what happens. And that idea of just allowing yourself to be open to the what if, what's possible, what's imaginable, what might happen is really exciting, both for performers and I think for audiences. And I think, the history has been that you would go out to see live shows. Like, you didn't stay home and watch TV all the time. You went out to see live performances, and we've become a society that's gotten away from that. And I think, and even being in a room with other people, what it's like. If you're a sports fan, you can stay home and watch a game sitting on the couch and be just as comfortable. But when you go to like your favorite sports bar and you watch it with other people, there's an energy in having that other group of people there with you. And it's the same thing with live music. You can sit home and listen to a Broadway record and it's fine and it's great. Or you can, watch us on YouTube or whatever the case may be. But being in a room with other people who are sharing that experience with you, that's something that you can't get unless you're going out to see live shows.
That's so true. And last question here. This is an evening in support of Guelph Youth Music Center. Why do you think it's important specifically for kids to pick up the arts?
Well, oh gosh, that's a whole hour or more of discussion. Because I mean, for everything that I do, I learned in classroom. So it's helped. It's art education like kind of stimulates different parts of the brain. So it reacts to, especially if you look at music education, you're looking at linguistic education, you're looking at numerical education, you're looking at the idea of socializing and being in a construct that causes you to interact with other performers, other audience members. So there's the kids that maybe don't fit into the sports world, or kids that may not fit as well into an academic world. They may find an art world that they connect with. And that's not to say that kids who do sports and do other academically well can't be in the arts. They should all be in the arts. I mean, it definitely benefits so many other types of learning. And I think the arts have been put to the side so often when everybody focuses on, we have math, science, that sort of thing. And we forget about the fact that, you know, we're so used to talking about STEM learning, we forget about STEAM learning. And the arts, it's a huge element in so many other factors of kids' education and learning models, that I think we need to shine more of a spotlight on that. And not every school program has the ability to do that. So when you have a program like, you know, the Guelph Youth Music Center, and what they're doing to service a community, it's huge. And I mean, you know, all three of us, Diane and Julie and I, have all been blessed and lucky enough to have had really great music education throughout our lives and throughout our careers. And it's something that's very important to the three of us. So when we were asked to do something to help, yeah, absolutely. It's a really important cause. And it's, I think if we can maybe get our heads wrapped around the arts a little differently, and understand that it's not flippant, it's not extracurricular, it is a key component in so many children's learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so that message needs to be spread far and wide, and we're happy to be able to help spread it.
Yeah, what I love about the art, specifically with music, which was my prominent thing, is like it's very structured. At the same time, it's very free flowing, and you get to. It's about play. It's about wonder, and that's what I love about music. Oh, just to
And
wrap
thinking
up.
outside the box, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So just to wrap up, I just want to say thank you for joining me today. And I also, in my research, I read that you were on Daniel. You were a voice on Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, which
I play Mom Tiger. So normally when I'm talking as Mom Tiger, she's a little more like this.
I know during the pandemic, my nephew and I watched that quite a bit. It was one of his favorites. So it's really a joy to talk to you today.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm, you know, another one of those things that I'm blessed to work on, and you know, where any kind of art thing can help young people, nothing wrong with that.
All right, so that's Broadsway, an evening in support of Guelph Youth Music Center, coming up November 25th. Get your tickets online at gymc.simpletix.ca. And Heather, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Ryan. It's my pleasure. I hope to see everybody on the 25th.